Amir, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleased to meet you too.
I'm stoked about this. So you were just telling me something very interesting to me, which is you you say what you mean. A new concept I know, but you have a strong focus on saying what you like. Talk to me. Have you always been that way? Is that something you've cultivated? Like really having integrity with your, or even just explain how you think about it and how you got into such a focus on that or appreciation for that.
You know, people might think that words don't matter, but to me, every word you say, every word you utter matters. Because before the word, it was in your mind. Before it was consciously, you were consciously aware of it in your mind, there was a long thought process. So the origin of the word goes way deep into your soul, into your very consciousness. So be careful what you utter. That's why I'm trying to live by that. And no one is perfect. If you say it, you better mean it. And then don't take it back, because as it was a long process before.
So you, not meant to be a trick question, but you try not to lie. You try not to bullshit people.
Yes, 100%. Yes, because look, the last person you can even bullshit is yourself. I want to wake up in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth and I see myself in the mirror. I want to be okay with that guy. You know, the bare minimum, I got to be okay with that guy. No one is perfect. We all make mistakes. We hopefully learn. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes it takes longer to learn and it's more painful. But we can at least try.
Okay. Well, we're cultivating some bravery and courage here, if you will. Was there a time when you weren't comfortable with yourself looking in the mirror? Like, was there a period of time when you weren't liking what you were seeing or feeling? And like, was there a chapter in your life that because let me just ramble for a bit. From my experience, people who have sort of a spiritual or sort of consciousness bent to them, you don't just stumble into that. From my experience, it's something that you've come to appreciate. And so, like, I've seen a lot of defining hardship, struggle moments. We've all been through crazy stuff, but yeah, I mean, being able to feel okay with the person that you're looking at in the mirror. Is there a period of time that wasn't the case, or has that always been
No.
super kosher?
No, not by a long shot. We all have our struggles, and so did I, and sometimes still the case. The struggle is to try to learn from it. You know, that is the key. If you are struggling and you are incapable, or you're shutting down from that process to embrace the struggle and to learn from it, it's going to be even more struggle, right? So in my life, there were moments, of course, I didn't talk much at all with anybody up until I was like 15, 16. Just like very, very introvert.
More of a bookworm, or
Completely. I was reading books up until 3 a.m. in the morning, and back in the 80s, so I'm dating myself, I'm 51. There was no internet. There was nothing online, of course. It was just before everything started, right? And I went to the public libraries and I ate up anything across the board of all kinds of things to just, I was in my own world. I've never been diagnosed if I am or not on the spectrum. The chances are. And so that was like, to me, to even talk to people was a big deal. It took me decades to actually fully embrace it and everything, but it was fine. I was blessed with a beautiful upbringing with my parents. No wealthy people at all, normal.
Bosnia?
That's right. I was born in Bosnia, and I grew up in the 80s in Germany, and with my parents and my brothers, and it was a beautiful family. I had a great childhood. I can't complain about anything. My dad was a very hardworking man, and my mom was a housewife, and my dad also, was a catalyst for me to embrace technology without him actually knowing. at the time. Because in the 80s, in 84, I asked him if he would give me money for video games. Back in the day, it was the thing, right? Brand new.
Yeah.
They all started. And he said no. I said, okay. And then he said, the old man, he said, if you want video games, you have to make them yourself.
Wow. So that's a high bar for...
yeah. So I
that'll
had to,
get you creative.
Yeah. And this is when I started, dabbling and then developing computer software on my little computer back in the day. And that's how everything started. There was a challenge, and that was like the first challenge. I was 10 years old, and I did succeed in my way, and kept learning and kept going. And so that was a very pivotal moment for me. My dad saying no, which led to me being where I am.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't like to hear no, especially as a kid. And it's a kind of I just read the Elon Musk biography, and he has he build video games, all this stuff, just crazy smart people like you guys. It's part of the reason I wanted to chat with you is just I love sort of, that's a creative, that's a constraint of like, you can't, I thought you were going to say you'll have to figure out how to get the money to buy the video game. No, you have to produce. That's the next level.
Yeah.
So that launched you into technology or kind of
Yes.
What's the sweep from there? Like it's
it was
like, or how do you contextualize? Like, do you think of it? Because I read in your thing you love it, technology needs to begin with the end in mind, and the end is pro-humanity, pro-environment. I don't know if you've updated your LinkedIn in a while, but it says that.
Yes, yes. It's like, do I consider myself a technologist? Yes, in many ways. But I also strongly believe that technology that is not ultimately serving for the betterment of mankind is not technology. It is a problem. It's an utter problem, and
it's not neutral. It's a problem.
No, it's actually adversary to us human beings if we don't intend to use it for humanity, for the good, right? And God knows that there are many developments right now happening in the world that it's hard to tell if that's going to be good. I'm not a pessimist. I'm always, the glass is half full.
And right? You certainly hope for the hope, but you have to prepare for. You have to be mindful.
There's concerning developments when it comes to how we as individuals are exposed when it comes to social media, for example, and media in general, to narrative control of powerful groups and people which want you to think and believe a certain way. And since basically all of the planet is on media, social media, it is a very powerful tool, narrative control. There is a saying, if you repeat a lie often enough,
loud enough,
it comes to truth. So that's why we're living in a time, I think, where everything could happen. It's a very exciting time to live. Yeah. It is. All the emerging technologies from blockchain to AI, the possibilities are incredible.
And so is the risk.
But so is the risk. Well put. Yeah.
Yeah. So we could sit there for a while because that's your pocket with technology and whatnot. So do you top three or one, then the next one, like you're concerned about the social media control of the narrative. Everybody's talking about AI. I'm sure you have an opinion on AI. Like what, or is the narrative control really the main one that keeps you up at night?
It's a combination of things. See, AI, there is amazing use cases for AI when it comes to the creative process, right? For human interaction, to improve all these things, to reduce friction. But AI also is very, very powerful when it comes to analyzing data, behavioral data, your opinion online, everything that you do, everywhere where you go, literally every action you as a human being do, not just online, but in the real world too. Facial recognition is everywhere. And it's biometrics everywhere, meaning your gait can identify you, not just your face. People think, oh yeah, if I cover my face. No.
Just the way you walk.
The way you walk.
That's what gait means for active listeners.
That's right. The way you walk, the way you move, right? All that is very unique, is identifiable. And so what I'm trying to say is that AI now is being, as we speak, implemented into surveillance systems all across the planet.
So your thumbprint is now your entire body. Like everything, you're recognizable all across. Yeah.
Your voice, everything about your body and what it expresses can be used to identify you. Which is, there are concerns and there's reasons for doing these things for law enforcement, for security purposes, and keeping everyone safe. Completely valid to an extent. But the problem is that once all our data, everything we think, we say, we do, where we are, who we meet, who we talk to, is being collected into a central point of control, right? That is very dangerous, right? Because look, you might have a, great government, great leader, benevolent. Everyone has a job, like the ideal scenario. And they have all that control and all that data about all of us, right? No problem.
And they have benevolent intent on top of that, ideally. But
yes, but what if that government, the term is passed, is over, and new government comes in place, inheriting all these powerful mechanisms and tools, and they're not as good? What then?
The power assets can flip ownership too quickly. Too quickly to go from like, maybe it's a good setup. It's precarious. It's a precarious position because you can light switch trillions of whatever, inordinate magnitude of power and influence, and that can just be flipped into the wrong hands too easily.
Too easily, and then this can turn into a nightmare. Now that's just the AI, the data collection and everything. Now all that we do and express ourselves on within the media, on social media platforms and all these things, everyone is on it. It's entertainment, it's getting your news, it's getting some education, all that kind of stuff, right? And here comes narrative control. The ones who are in control of these platforms are exposed to the power elites, right? Because they need to work hand in hand in order to operate the platform, the business, and they have to make concessions. So during the past 4 years, admittedly, platforms admitted, like the Meta CEO and others, that they were pressed hard by powerful government bodies, to remove things or to emphasize things, that is dangerous. That's really dangerous because, look, in the United States, the First Amendment is something that doesn't exist anywhere. And people keep repeating it, but
we have to preserve the sanctity and the realness and the rigor of it. You can't just you can't just have it written down, 400, whatever history years ago.
The audience needs to understand, here in the United States, nowhere in the world you have that in law as a First Amendment, even freedom of speech. And it's like a platitude to talk about it. Yeah, freedom of speech, No, you don't understand how important it is, because it's the one thing that if you don't have it anymore, it's just a matter of time until everything erodes and you end up in a totalitarian system. It's very dangerous. It goes quickly. You've seen it in the recent history. In the last 100 years, it happened multiple times across many countries.
So that's a big... Is that what drives you? Like, we're going to bounce around your life. We're going to bounce around all sorts of stuff because I just can't be cohesive and linear. Present day, is that what drives you? Like, what, you create companies, you have own, we'll talk about own in a bit, but like, what's the, not even on mission statement for the company. Again, this is like, I want to understand, Amir, what is the drive within you, like and how does that relate to this concern you have?
It's a good question. It's a few things converging, but if I were to break it down, I would say, if we don't have a empowered individual, right, being sovereign and free to speak, free to express, assuming you're not a nutcase and dangerous, like a normal person, right, who wants to contribute to society. If you don't have an empowered individual, most likely that individual is not going to have a happy relationship or a stable relationship with a partner, whichever gender. Now, if that happens, most likely the family they start and the kids are also going to be affected by that. And that goes to the wider family, to the community around you, to the district, to the city, to the county, to the state, to the nation. This is the root cause. So
Once the nucleus phrase.
that's the nucleus.
Once the nucleus phrase as the family unit or the individual, then the family unit, everything falls apart.
Falls apart. You can't have a society that is thriving, that is mentally stable, so to speak, that it's not easy to be agitated,
Yeah.
rallied up, right? You have sane people, stable people,
Yeah.
from all walks of life, from the crazy type artist to the bookkeeper and everything in between. But you need to make sure that they are empowered, whatever level they are at the socio-economic ladder, right, to have a stable society. So, but if we are now starting to infringe upon the rights of freedom of speech is a big one, right? Then a narrative control to be influenced by things that might not be true. We're destabilizing society as such. Right?
So that is to say, you are doing what you can to make sure that we are not on a path towards civilization destabilization.
You could say so. I don't see myself as just trying to save the world. I do want to do my part in a segment that I understand to offer a solution for something very important. And that's why we chose, to launch a social media platform that embodies all these things I just said. Because it's dark. If we don't stop the direction we're going right now, it can be very, very dark very quickly.
So you're like severely, it's not a low level worry. This is something that you're like, because some people kind of debate, like, is AI, if we get super intelligence with AI, we're guaranteed to be demolished, or it's 50-50, or it depends on the power. Like, a lot of people debate how much and where things are going to go, but it seems like you are just taking a stance and taking a position that we have to just proactively address that, regardless of the probabilistic outcomes that may be in our favor, but they may not. So let's try to be as proactive as we can.
If you think about it, right, let's assume AI development goes at the pace it goes now and develops further, right? So not only you have a potential scenario where AI systems turn autonomous and are controlling crucial infrastructure system or military installations and all that kind of stuff. That's one side of the story. But you also have human beings in the echelons of power that somewhat control and access that very same system. So it's a multiplier, and it's just, historically speaking, think about it. Is there any case of an emperor who had total and utter and absolute power
and
that did not abuse it?
That was, yeah.
Name one. Maybe Marcus Aurelius back in the Roman Empire was the philosopher emperor. Maybe he was one of them, but he also waged wars too. So I don't know. Unlikely.
Okay, well, so what is the practical application of, like, so while we're finishing the mission, the drive, the problem with the world, and then your specific remedy or attempt at that remedy, what does that prescription look like? What are you doing on that, and what differently than how other people are doing it?
Right. So the reality is you need to offer opportunity. And we chose the creator economy because it is the glue of all of society, right? Music, arts, films, comedy, all sorts of things are making our lives more interesting. So that's why everyone is on it. All right.
It's harder to be bored.
It's harder to be bored.
But is that the end all be all?
No, it's not. I think that
there's a lot of TikTokers who would disagree with you.
I know, but I think many people, me included, I'm trying to keep myself in check. Don't take yourself too serious.
Right.
Right? Because we still haven't figured out what the true meaning of life is. So don't pretend you know and take yourself too serious in that regard. Just take a break and look around yourself and smile a little. I don't get too stuck up on your narrow point of view potentially. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to. But what I'm trying to say is that we chose that path because we think, since it is such a powerful environment like social media and media, which is influencing the lives of billions, we try to create opportunity that the human mind can creatively express itself and monetize instantaneously
and own
on the platform. Yes.
Well, I was going to say, and own the content.
And own the content.
Right.
Own your personal data.
Hence the name.
That's right. We build it in such ways that you are a sovereign of your identity online, that your personal data, that your creations, your intellectual property, even the social graph, the people who follow you and you follow, that you have control and ownership over that. And as I am the CEO and CTO of the company and the creator of the core technology, I purposefully remove myself out of that control. So I, even if I wanted to, cannot take all that, what you own, and license it, sell it. I can't do it.
We got to figure out how you can abuse the power so you can benefit like every other powerful guy.
That's exactly what I did. I built in a fail-safe, so to speak, to make it.
It's like the blockchain of nobody can mess with it too much. It's like the blockchain philosophy, right? Yeah. You're taking the sort of strongman argument for Bitcoin blockchain and doing that with social media. If it's decentralized, not one person or group owns the whole game, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Is that a fair analogy?
It's a fair analogy. We have to run a company, of course, to have an organizational structure, to make the infrastructure work, to keep it up. But when it comes to the actual individuals and users and creators on the platform, they are fully empowered, right? So we provide a framework, build a house, and when you come in, and whatever you create in that house, you can walk away with it.
Mm-hmm. What are the biggest challenges with doing what you're doing, or what's the hard part because you've done a lot of hard things. If you can make video games, you're off to a head start in life. So what's the hard part for you with this?
I mean, scaling and growing a platform is, of course, a huge challenge because there is no guarantees that your timing is right, that what you offer is appealing to the broader audience. But lucky enough, we are since about 3 or 4 months within the beta test, and it's tens of thousands of people, and they love it.
They love it.
They have long session times, and they have a high retention rate. A lot of daily, weekly, and monthly active users. It's way above the statistical average currently in media and social media. So we're very kind of happy that we seem to have a great product market fit, something that people love to use. That's great. And we're launching it globally soon in November 2025, right?
Because there's a bit of critical mass with social media networks of getting the network effect, right? Where you have to have enough people to get the network effect. If my friends don't use the app, then it's immediately who gives a, so that's...
It's true. That's why the way it works is just not to go too detailed.
Yeah.
But it runs in weekly cycles. And on a Sunday, the algorithm that is responsible to detect your organic performance of your content and boost it, make it go viral, entirely with no narrative control and out of my control too. So the algorithm is its own sovereign unit that only obeys the audience, and what you see going up is what they truly want to see. And it does this reset every Sunday, which means that anybody who starts at the reset, right, you can even beat the big stars. If you're funnier, prettier, more enlightening, whatever you are, you can beat the stars in no time. So it's very empowering in the way that
We're going to be out of luck there, but we'll try.
oh, you will be surprised. It's funny, and I think that's why the users and our entire creator economy on our own are loving it so much, because it's like it's something new, right? It's in a different way. You don't have to toil away for years and years to build millions of followers and then statistically, get into virality and all that. We always have to remove the odd 1 in 100 million go viral video, right? Which is this pure chance, of course. It's playing lottery. So we build a system that makes it possible that if you have something amazing, that it can see the light of day very quickly.
And, Twitter X had this challenge of, freedom of speech. Now, it's actually more difficult than it sounds, because what do you do about how do you avoid giving the megaphone to crazy people and crazy ideas and crazy, so like, how do you balance freedom of speech with modulating things that most people would agree we don't need to hear, hate speech, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Very good question.
But then you can't push that too hard, because then you're pushing back on their free. So philosophically or in application of that, how do you think about that?
So we have two hard rules, which is we don't allow pornography and we don't allow perpetuated crime, like calls for violence, any type of crime, abuse. We don't allow that part, because personally, I believe that's not freedom of speech. It's just really shitty human behavior.
Yeah, I mean, if you're intentionally trying to, it's in the description. I'm trying to cause harm. It's like, we're not trying to cause harm.
No. But these are the only two rules we actually have. Else, anybody can speak their mind.
Just short of that, you're free to play.
Everything from your far right, far left, whatever. But to your question, how do we make sure that, say, the insanity doesn't, dominate, right? Doesn't, because the last 20 years of social media have been dominated by rage bait, and big networks and platforms, without naming them, which ones I mean. They use that to increase retention, to increase engagement, because people react very nicely to very aggressive and violent things and provocation off the charts, and they instrumentalize that. They actually turn to algorithms to push more of that content, because they identified it's driving more traffic.
It gets the juicy clicks and stuff.
It gets the blood boiling, and
then it gets the reaction,
even longer on the screen.
Engagement.
Yes, and that's very detrimental to society, obviously, right? But it's good for the bottom line. Now, what we do is the algorithm. It's a merit-based algorithm. What it does is it is rewarding things that people truly enjoy, because the way they interact with content, you of course commenting, upvoting, downvoting, interaction, sharing. There's many factors are being measured, fed into the algorithm, and the algo creates a predictive model for each piece of content, where it could be in the next 5 minutes, 1 hour, and so on. And it does it for every piece of content on own. And now the differences are then that some of them earn more merit score, some less. And the ones who earn more, they have higher multipliers applied automatically to them, which means they end up in more feeds at the same time. Now, to complete the answer, how do I prevent bad stuff to go all the way up? See, if the reaction of the audience, right, is negative towards something, so if the majority says, oh my God, this is obnoxious, I'm rejecting this,
that'll respond.
The opposite happens. The algorithm is toning it all the way down.
Just nosedives.
So it's a self-regulating system.
Interesting. Have you ever thought about the irony or paradox of the fact that you were not social growing up and now you are creating a social media platform?
That's crazy. I had never thought of this.
I was hoping not,
I never
because I wouldn't do my job if I didn't get you at least
How
one.
did you dig that out? Wow. You're right. That's funny. Actually, that's funny. Wow.
Anything to add to that, or just let that sink?
Maybe that's the very reason. You know what I mean? Like subconsciously, right? I was just trying to open up more, trying to be part of society, right?
Yeah,
Maybe never stopped.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to comment on Elon. I'm a fan of him. He had a very similar aspect from what you briefly shared on your childhood.
Yeah.
Ended up buying a social media platform. So I find it to be an interesting thing.
I'm with you. I think Elon Musk is one of the greatest entrepreneurs ever to live.
Yeah, it's just funny that he had the social, off the chart IQ, socially awkward, whatever, and now he's buying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're figuring out the social game, which is good. So complete left turn. What is the most challenging, quote unquote, high conflict? Really, it could be a business partnership, it could be a romantic partnership, it could be a family member, it could be like, I'm going to just completely open the aperture that you're willing to share, that shaped you, your story, the projects you work on. Like what's, because to me, I don't have to convince you because you're building a social media platform. We are a relationship social based first, right? So high conflict relationships will have a big effect, sort of usually objectively, right? That tends to be, as opposed to like, tell me, the worst speeding ticket you had. Maybe you just didn't give a shit, and so you just keep moving on. But a truly challenging relationship, that will probably have an effect somehow, some way. For me, I've had so many that it's hard to pick one, business partnerships and stuff. But, that's one I wanted to ask you, because that's a big
catalyst. Something that, I was blessed so far with business partners, co-founders.
That's good. You had discernment on who you picked and worked with. That could be a master skill, making sure you pick the right people.
I'm really careful who I associate myself with, right? Because I'm aware that the longer you sit with somebody, it rubs off. So it's just human nature. We're mimicking slowly our environment. It's just, you can't even stop it. It's subconscious.
Next thing I know, I'm blowing my whole budget on the best black clothes I can find.
You're funny. Yeah, I'm usually all black or all white or black and white. So I'm not much into colors personally.
Yeah, screw colors. We don't need them.
And they turned off the AC, man. This is fun.
So the question is, tell me about a highly challenging, high conflict relationship, presumably in the past, because probably wouldn't stick around too long if it was the level of informing your life that I'm looking for. Is there one that comes to mind, or the one that you'd be willing to speak to?
Yes. Again, my dad. So he was a very reclusive type character, very introvert. Probably this is where
was he engineering like you, or what was he up to? What was he doing?
No, he was a blue collar worker.
Okay.
For 42 years, manufacturing tires for Dunlop, and hardworking. Never took a day off. First day he was on medical leave ever in 42 years was at 2 a.m. at a night shift when he suffered heart attack. That was the first time he took a day off in 42 years. Not a single day. I'm not joking. So he had very extreme work ethics, providing for the family. He a really good man with heart, but also, we didn't talk much. And it led to a point when I decided to not pursue fully academia. My background is physics. He was very disappointed and very against me going out there and turning into an entrepreneur at an early age, and it kind of caused, a rift in between us. And luckily that turned around, but it took 15 years.
15 years. Of what? Of limited contact?
Limited contact.
Distance?
Yeah, distance. And that was, maybe I wanted to prove something, say, you're wrong, Dad, right? I can do this, Maybe that was one of my motivations, so to say, right? And but now we are really close. The older he got, and he opened up, and we got to talk. He could recite over 1,000 different poems from all across the literature.
Wow.
Completely recall it word by word. And a gifted singer too.
I can barely remember the ABCs. That's incredible.
No, that's really incredible. His memory is crazy. So he was a very creative mind, but he got stuck into this thing he has to provide, and he's about 80 years old now, and I think his generation post World War II, growing up in a destroyed country, bombed to smithereens back in the day in Europe and Yugoslavia, right? The war against Nazi Germany and all that, right? So that left a mark on the whole family, utter devastation, right? So, many of his siblings didn't survive, for the lack of just clean water, for example, or anything. They all died. And so they really went through a rough patch. And leading up to the 1990s in Bosnia too, where we had a civil war that also took the lives of many of our family members, which was horrible too. So it's another, incision in a family
fabric.
Yeah. It wasn't easy to, process all these things, but it did motivate me to try to build something that means something, that can create prosperity for the family, but also for people in general, right? Maybe I do want to be part of creating a better world. Maybe I do want to create the tools that empower people to keep humanity on a certain trajectory of, so we survive.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's why I love decentralized systems, to split power, right?
It's probably less about splitting power and just other side of the coin, just making sure it doesn't. Splitting's fine, and then hopefully things are less risky. It's more like we're trying to avoid the concentration.
Yeah.
That's how the stuff really.
Yeah.
And then I guess if you split it, it's a bit more of empowering people and stuff. But it seems like it's more about avoiding the concentration.
But yes, and but right now we're on a trajectory that is contrary to that. We all think we are living in a very free world. To a certain degree, in a certain country, that still applies. But post a certain point of your influence to society, that changes dramatically, very quickly. And I think it's going to be to our demise. We have to be careful with these things. People need leadership. A society needs a structure. We need policing. Yes, of course we need that, right? Not everyone is healthy. There are desperate people who do desperate things. We need to protect innocent people. Of course we have to. But we have to do it in a way that we still don't take away our rights,
15 years with your dad. How did that come back? Like, how did you guys reconcile? How did that 15-year Cold War warm up?
I would say
The war's cold, then you have to warm it up.
I would say me understanding him better while I was aging, from a young teenager to a young adult to now a middle-aged man. And over the years, understanding his point of view, since having fathered two sons myself, which are now 16 and 18 about, and getting that perspective.
Wow.
So it's not like that he did anything, right? Yes, he got a bit more mellow, right? At his old age. But he's a pretty hard-headed guy. But always trying to be just, right? Not being like any abusive type or anything of sorts. No, none of that. I think it's just me realizing, now that you are aging and you have children, you get that perspective. I think it was more.
What was that perspective shift?
Well, understanding that if you have kids, you of course, in a normal case, want the best for them, right? You want them to thrive. You want them to be healthy, not to mess up too much, right? All these things. And
you want them to get upvoted in the own app, not downvoted.
Exactly. You want them to
say things people like. Don't say dumb things that people hate.
Yeah.
Anyway, dumb
right.
Silly derail. Keep going.
No, it's fine. So it gave me the perspective as a parent to understand him better, if that makes sense. Because as a young man, or late teenager, adolescent, you know, all the hormones and everything, it can be very confusing growing up, as all of us probably went through that. And so I was, being very hard-headed in myself, gearing towards conflict with him, right? But now I see things a little bit different, because I know why he was concerned. I know why he was against certain things I tried and did. You know what I mean?
And that why was his notion of what's best for you.
Yes. I came to realize that after many years then, yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't agree with the strategy, but now you agree with the intention.
That's right.
I'm a big fan of intentions matter. So
yes, they do.
You may still disagree. We don't know. You may still disagree with, maybe you'll raise your kids slightly different and you'll have a different strategy, but you can appreciate the benevolent intention of wanting the best for people. He did the best he could.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's appreciating that intention really frees things up, from my experience. Yeah.
Yes. It's important to be conscious about your actions, right? So if you're just doing things and you don't even question them, it's not good for you. It's just not good for you. You should
think before you act.
Think before you act. It helps.
It's not good for you.
No. And also the thing about being, overly emotional, whether it's positive or negative, ain't good for you either, because when you lose a kind of emotional control, you're way too happy, and then you're super trusting with somebody, right? You ignore literally all the red flags because you are emotionally compromised. You think it's fantastic, it's beautiful, all the hormones are flying, the butterflies in the stomach, right?
I love butterflies.
Me too, right? They're beautiful. The same goes the other way around. If you're too angry about things, if you get, geared up towards something, all of that is not good for you as a human being, I think. I'm not saying you should be numb and emotionally ignorant to anything, no. But I'm saying that you should be careful when you are giving into emotions, whether they're super positive or super negative, because I think it's causing imbalance within your soul, within your consciousness, right? And that imbalance then makes you potentially, susceptible to bad things, to overreacting, while you're overreacting, you're potentially destroying a relationship that you can't fix anymore. We might glue, the cup back together, but there's still the cracks. It's just waiting to crack again. So I think being overly emotional, generally speaking, whichever way, is not good for us.
That's really interesting. The overly emotional, grossly overlooking red flags. Is that you with your dad? Is that you seeing other people like that? A lot of people listening will resonate with that, at least with my audience. So
Yeah.
if you could I mean, you already illustrated it decently well, but if you could elaborate on anything you just said on terms of hyperreactivity to emotional, overlooking red flags, how do you get in that to begin with? Like that's a big name of the game, because that's how you can get into a lot of trouble. That's how I've gotten into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So yeah, how'd you get in that, and then how do you get out of it? You just try to like not be so just keep riffing on this whole thing. This is very interesting.
You know what? Might sound a bit crazy, but what I do is when I'm in a certain situation and I can feel emotions coming up, like I'm angry about something with somebody, or I'm being very joyful, right? I'm trying to be conscious about that moment. And what I try to do is like almost like, I'm not very esoteric, but it's like an astral projection of myself. I'm stepping aside and I observe myself, kind of, right? All right. And
third party observer.
Yes. Right. I try to get
You are not the main, you are observing the character.
Yes.
You're playing the character, not like in it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, is that really what you should do? It's kind of crazy. It's not a split personality thing, I think, but it's something like that. It's like a control mechanism. Right?
Yeah. No, I paid a lot of money for a course that advocates this idea.
Interesting.
In terms of the mindset aspect of the big aha is, and if you can do this, it's truly life changing. Of like, most people think they are the emotions, and they immediately, there's no separation between the emotion and the identity of like, I just am this, I'm feeling this, I'm seeing this is just what is. And then that feeling you get, you then act on that. But if you can zoom out, like you're saying, and see and like basically that part of you that you don't like, let's say, because it might act in a way that you wouldn't ideally, act. That part works for you. That your higher self, your CPU, whatever word you want to give it. That part of you works for the boss. You're the boss, and so you get to then direct it, as opposed to just it running the show. It's a bit of a tricky thing to explain, but if you can get the difference between you run the show and it'll squawk at you, it'll say, well, I really want to fire this guy, I really want to yell at this person, I really want to emotionally react, but that's a different framing than that's all you see is, I want to do this, therefore I do that,
And it's a lot of sense.
So yeah, that was like a master class.
Wow.
On terms of mindset. And the mindset aspect of it is, maybe you don't want to, you can apply it to literally anything. So maybe you don't want to work on your company that's changing the world all day, but the circumstances are such that you have to, basically, but you don't want to, but you have to. Well, the part of you that doesn't want to is not the boss. So you have to be able to basically tame the disobedience, tame the parts of you that you.
That's right.
And that's just a fundamentally different paradigm than I am this because I feel this, and there's no separation of, right? And
wow, the way you put it is precisely like that. It's like a fail safe to me, all right? You are stumbling into a situation, and everyone knows about the butterfly effect, right? You do one altercation in your life, and that causes down the road a completely different outcome for your life, right? So if you are kind of mindful, not crazy about it, but mindful that even smaller actions in the moment, the way you talk to a specific person maybe, or the way you act, right, or reject, maybe being too harsh, can cause a completely different trajectory for your own life, right? So that said, I don't think we are in total control of our destiny. There's just too many moving parts, who you meet, when you meet them, and all that. But I think that if you are somewhat careful, right, and try to do the right thing, so to speak, right, and don't promise what you can't keep, and these basic rules common sense, right? You'll be all right. You'll be fine with yourself, but if you overreact, overstep, you might regret it. And this is the worst feeling, I believe, in life, is later on to regret something. I think this is tormenting.
I was going to ask, I agree. That's what drives me, is like regret minimization. I was going to ask you from like a mindset trying to get inside. I think it's just hard to be human, period. But you happen to be an entrepreneur, someone who's doing these big things. So you have to have a level of mindset and strength in the mind. And what I'm interested in is understanding, how do you do that? Do you think, well, failure, there is no failure as long as I keep trying? Do you think as long as I minimize my regrets? Like what's the internal like mechanism that keeps you having a strong mindset to do big things? And
it's another great question. I personally really I don't want to ever regret anything I've done. All right. So whatever I try, I'm going consciously into that room, into that decision consciously, right? And once you do it and you truly believe that this is possible, like you really have to believe it. You really have to love everything about it. Then there is no way back. So to me, that's no option at all, ever, to stop.
Once those criteria.
Yes, once the green flags are, this is possible, right? Okay, I love what I do, right? I see things are developing.
So you remove the decision after, like, there's no, so you don't wake up like, should I do it, should I not do it? You make the decision.
No, you make it once and then you go.
You don't deliberate, you don't second guess.
No, I honestly, I told this a few times to team members and everybody. I always keep saying, if you truly love what you do, don't stop until it loves you back. Just don't stop. I
love that.
If you realize it's futile, it's like completely garbage, well, you have to also cut it, right? But if you don't get to that point that, like, okay, it's not possible, or nobody cares, keep going.
Yeah. Will anybody love me back? Yeah, I love that. Just keep going. Okay. Well, perfect. That'll work. Keep going until it loves you back.
Yeah.
Is there a better place to end than that?
I don't know.
It's going to be hard to top that. That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
It was a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You.
This was a ton of fun.
Anytime. You're great, man.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you.